This program contains graphic footage of people being killed and injured in war. We have come to Ukraine as this savage war is about to enter its fourth year, and as pressure ramps up to end the conflict.
That is an absolute killing field. It's time to end it.
It's a conflict that is threatening the global order, seen barbaric war crimes, and left hundreds of thousands dead.
Putin is dreaming about destroying Ukraine.
The return of the America First president will reshape this conflict.
The prospects of American military aid at this level continuing to Ukraine are not good, which I think is another reason why Ukraine has to find a way to end the war.
But how do you end an intractable war? Kyiv is demanding security guarantees in any peace settlement. Vladimir Putin will never accept Ukraine having the protection of NATO. For now, Ukraine is holding on, taking the fight to the invaders any way it can, in a war that blends sci-fi with horror.
I'm not hunting Russian soldiers, I just kill them.
Терор, який Росія робить свідомо, наш захист абсолютно справедливий. Слава Україні!
Four Corners is in Ukraine on the front lines of this brutal war. Just a kilometre away, Russian forces hoping to drive deeper into this country. It comes at a turning point in this three-year conflict.
This has become a long-term war of attrition that Ukraine is likely to lose.
We have not enough weapon for this, but we have enough courage and power, spiritual power.
Right, we've got water.
Everybody ready? Так.
Well, it's just gone 3:30 in the morning. We're in far eastern Ukraine. We've just met up with two soldiers from the Ukrainian army who are our escorts. They're taking us to the front lines, within 1 kilometre of the front line with the Russian army. There we're going to meet up with an elite Ukrainian drone unit that's taking the fight right up to the Russian armour and its soldiers. Here, so close to the front line, we are well within range of Russian artillery and rocket fire. And we are particularly vulnerable to their drones, which means we have to move fast. But after 40 minutes driving, as we approach our rendezvous point, there's a problem.
Орієнтовно час прибуття 15-20 хвилин.
Well, we could be a little lost here, or we certainly haven't been able to establish communications with the bunker where the drone unit is. So we're out in the middle of a field, waiting, hopefully, to hear from them. Here we are. Moments later, a light emerges from the gloom. It's a soldier from the Achilles Battalion, one of Ukraine's killer drone units, who we've come to spend time with.
You need to be here 1 hour later. I was sleeping.
Okay. This Achilles squad is well dug in.
From this underground bunker, they wage a war seemingly from science fiction. Here, they hunt Russians, raining death from the sky. We have arrived as the four-man team is getting out of their bunks and preparing for another day of drone warfare. We can only identify these soldiers by their call signs. Within minutes, they are in position and preparing to fly.
What do you target? Who do you target?
Our target, yeah. Yeah, our target mostly is personnel. I mean, infantry, some shelters for last maybe 2 weeks. But on the other hand, our target is Russian armor.
So you're hunting Russian soldiers, basically?
I'm not hunting Russian soldiers, I just killing them.
But as this Russian military video shows, Moscow's drones are also doing a lot of killing, pulverising Ukrainian bunkers, just like the one we are in. Before the war, Scuba was a software engineer. He's now this unit's chief pilot, tasked with guiding kamikaze drones into Russian armour and soldiers.
How many drones do you normally go through every day?
We can get from like minimal 15 up to 30, 40 flights per day.
So up to 40 drones per day?
Yeah.
As East and Scuba prepare to hunt Russians, another member of the squad, Strelok, is arming and strapping a bomb to the drone they're sending up. He works quickly and efficiently with powerful munitions. As dawn breaks, the first kamikaze drones are in the sky.
Right now, our FPV drone flying direct to Russians. As soon as we cross the river, we on the Russian territory.
Okay.
Liberated Russian
It's Ukrainian territory.
Yeah, that's all Ukrainian territory.
A group of Russians is spotted by a surveillance drone. Almost instantly, the Ukrainians strike. They've been in the air for just a matter of minutes, and Achilles has its first kill of the day.
Дай лівіше трохи. Stop!
In between kills, as another drone is being prepared, Scuba relaxes by scrolling through social media. But very soon, it's back to work. Another Russian soldier has been detected. He knows the drone is above him, and he knows his desperate efforts to hide from this aerial assassin are futile.
Він що, промазав?
He shoots himself, but not fatally.
Yeah, he tried to shoot himself, but блін, його ще заберуть. He's still alive. Maybe it's... Oh no, he's dead.
Well, what we've just seen is the reality of modern drone warfare. That Russian knew that there was no escape from that drone, so he chose to try and go out on his own terms, and that didn't quite go to plan. So the Ukrainian drone did or finished off what he couldn't. What's it like to kill Russians?
I feel nothing. Maybe other guys feel something. I just kill enemy who came to my land and try to kill me, my friends, my family.
So kill them or they kill you?
Yeah, definitely.
This is war in the 21st century. As brutal as ever, but now waged with joysticks and headsets and from behind screens. The weapons they control very rarely overshoot the mark or miss the target. They hunt, they hover, and they strike. And they don't just kill, they also record the last moments of their victims and the terror etched on these soldiers' faces.
So this is your secret headquarters.
To understand why Ukraine's killer drone units are so effective, Four Corners is being taken to another secret bunker, where the Achilles Battalion coordinates its frontline strike teams, including the one commanded by East. Yuri Fedorenko is the creator and commander of the Achilles Battalion, and this is where his campaign to kill Russians is coordinated. Four Corners is the first foreign media to ever be allowed in here.
Я можу навести статистику за 2023-2024 роки. Але незважаючи на це, нам вдалося ліквідувати орієнтовно 2,5 тисячі. Є чітка статистика, зараз просто точно не пам'ятаю. І більше 3 тисяч, ті, які поранені, більше ніколи не повернуться до строю.
We're heading to a clandestine factory where Ukraine's drone warfare begins. This one alone makes 12,000 drones a month. These machines cost just $300 each to produce, 1/10 the price of an artillery shell. Each drone is tested before being shipped to the front. From having virtually no drone capability before the war, Ukraine is now able to produce 4 million a year. These 900-gram assassins can destroy a $3 million tank.
It could carry like 1.5 and even 2.5 kilogram of explosives. So you can calculate by yourself, it could destroy almost everything.
There's a lot of Russian armour to destroy along the 1,000-kilometre-long front line and inside the 1/5 of Ukrainian territory Moscow currently controls. Russia's invasion of eastern Ukraine has provided Putin with a land bridge to Crimea, which he seized in 2014. The front lines are volatile and fluid. For security reasons, we cannot be precise about the locations of the Ukrainian forward positions we visited. Right now, this 3-year war is in one of its most dramatic and deadly phases, with the Ukrainians struggling to hold back the Russian tide.
Війна зараз на найбільш тяжкому етапі. Я поясню. Війна в Україні показала, що Міжнародних правил більше не існує. Це конфлікт про домінування, про те, хто буде існувати, в яких межах буде існувати. Це конфлікт про майбутнє. Тому це тяжкий момент. Не всі готові до цього.
After months of stalemate, the Russians are desperately trying to gain as much ground as they can. The Ukrainians are furiously trying to repel them while clinging to a sliver of Russian territory.
The President-elect of the United States, the Honorable Donald John Trump.
This escalation in the conflict is being driven by one thing: the return of Donald Trump to the White House.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Here in Kharkiv, not far from the front line, people doubt that Trump can end the war quickly, despite his repeated pledge to do just that.
After we win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. I get along with both of them very well. Should have never happened.
To no surprise to the Ukrainians, Trump quickly abandoned his pledge to end the war in 24 hours. But he is pushing both sides to the negotiating table, intensifying pressure on Vladimir Putin in remarks immediately after his inauguration.
I think he's destroying Russia by not making a deal. I think Russia's going to be in big trouble.
With the Russians slowly but steadily taking more territory, Vladimir Putin might be in no rush to negotiate. In Ukraine, with their soldiers gradually losing ground, there is growing support for an end to the war. While travelling through eastern Ukraine, I speak with Fred Fleitz, who was the Chief of Staff at the National Security Council during the first Trump presidency. He's one of the architects of Trump's strategy for ending the war.
Well, it's going to be hard because there will be compromises needed on both sides. My guess it will be something like freezing the conflict where it is right now and beginning negotiations. Don't concede territory in any way and begin negotiations with the understanding that a solution that Ukraine can accept probably won't be possible until Putin leaves the political scene. But in the meantime, Ukrainians will stop dying, Ukraine can be defended, its economy can be developed, and perhaps we can promote stability in Europe.
The Vice President, J.D. Vance, has said or suggested we freeze the front lines where they are and we make that the new demarcation line between Ukraine and Russia. Is that acceptable to Ukraine?
Трошки дивно, коли говорять, там може бути лінія розмежування. А хто сказав, що Росія буде готова на лінію розмежування? Росія хоче отримати під тотальний контроль всю Україну. Росія розуміє, що якщо вона отримає цей контроль, ніхто судити її не буде. Вона не буде платити ціну за війну.
The return of Donald Trump and his pledge to bring the warring sides to the table has sparked a massive Russian push. Last year, Putin's troops gained another 4,000 square kilometres. They now control about a fifth of Ukraine. And in recent weeks, they've seized more territory. We are travelling to an artillery position where the Russians have been throwing troops at the front line in a bid to grab more ground and bargaining chips before any talks begin. With the Russians shelling this position regularly, we're taken into an old farmhouse turned bunker to meet the artillery unit commander, Lieutenant Colonel Vitaly, and his men. The Ukrainian military has requested we blur any features that may help the Russians identify their positions. Inside, Vitaly tells us how the Russians throw their soldiers at the line in suicidal attacks, what the Ukrainians call meat waves.
Росіяни зараз намагаються захопити побільше території, як ми це бачимо за останні місяці, не жалкуючи ні людей, ні техніки, ні боєприпасів, нічого. Щоб виглядати за столом переговорів більш сильними, але всі знають, що росіяни, які вони є на самом ділі. Вони, м'яко кажучи, підараси.
The Ukrainian drone has found a Russian position, and the artillery crew has been given the coordinates. They only have a few moments to hit it, otherwise they will become targets of return fire. Both this howitzer and the shells it fires have been supplied by the United States. Without aid like this, the Ukrainians would be overrun. That shell is hurtling towards a Russian position about 7 kilometres away. So they've just fired off a few rounds towards the Russian lines, but we now need to move. Apparently there are Russian drones in the air, so we've got to get to a more safe position. Through here. Thank you. While we speed away from the danger zone, Lieutenant Colonel Vitaly and his artillery team huddle in their bunker. The 30-year-old commander has a message for President Trump.
Та що хотілося б сказати, нехай приїжджає до нас, і ми попрацюємо по росіянам разом. Не тільки на політики, а по факту.
Nearby, we visit another Ukrainian artillery unit. They've wheeled out an even bigger American gun, a howitzer M109. We are allowed inside this beast as it pummels the Russian lines. Their target is a Russian infantry bunker 11 kilometres away. These guns are devastatingly accurate, and the Ukrainians have had success taking out Russian positions. But the Ukrainians say they need more of these weapons if they're to hold the Russians at bay.
Хотілося б, звісно, ще більше, то, що не вистачає того. І машини теж виходять з ладу, їх пошкоджують, деякі взагалі не можна вже відновити. І потрібно оновлювати, потрібно ще. Будемо боротися тим, що є. У нас просто немає іншого вибору. Нам не можна програти цю війну.
To understand if and how this war might end, we travel to Ukraine's centre of political power, the capital, Kyiv. It's hard to believe the Russians thought they could take this city in just a matter of days. Of course, they were repelled, but in a sign that they can still strike at will, it's just near here where a Russian ballistic missile struck. So 3 years on, the war's still being brought to the heart of Kyiv, even though this city is still under the control of the Ukrainians. Here, the horrific scale of this war is hard to miss. Each one of these flags represents a Ukrainian soldier who has lost their life in this conflict. Ukraine has been tight-lipped about how many of its soldiers have died. But Western intelligence estimates put the death toll at around 100,000, while the number of Russians killed is believed to be much higher, almost double. We've come to Kyiv to meet with the most powerful person in the country after President Volodymyr Zelensky. Thank you for speaking with us. Andriy Yermak is the President's Chief of Staff and a member of Ukraine's National Security Council. You visited Washington to make contact with the Trump administration. Do you think Donald Trump can negotiate an end to this war?
He have this opportunity, and he's a strong leader. And the partners of President Trump for the ending this war by just peace. He really the person who, if he decided, he go forward.
He can end the war.
Yes, yes, and absolutely. And for him, it's important to be a winner.
Can you have a just peace with someone like Vladimir Putin?
If the person respects international law and really want just peace, he never started so brutal aggression against independent country. But we demonstrated that this monster is not so strong.
47-й автомат их и дайте. 2 этих автомата дайте. Давай побыстрей. Лежи нахуй, рот закрой, бля.
Vladimir Putin has already been the target of an international criminal court warrant for war crimes allegedly committed in this conflict. And a warning, what you're about to see is confronting.
Сюда, нахуй! Сюда, по одному! Сюда, быстрее! Лежать, нахуй! Лежать! По одному!
While we are in Kyiv, a gruesome video emerges online.
По одному, блядь, один лег!
It drives home how barbaric this war has become.
Сука, сюда все!
According to Ukrainian officials, it shows unarmed Ukrainian prisoners being shot in the back, one by Russian soldiers.
Пошел! 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 Старый, этот мой! Давай! Пошел! Пошел, сука! Пошел! Бегом! Бегом!
Ukraine has filed a war crimes claim over these killings with the United Nations. One Ukrainian who has experienced the full horror of Putin's war is medic Yulia Paivska, who's known around this country as Tyra. You hoped one day to get back to Mariupol?
Of course, it's my dream.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Mariupol destroyed.
Tyra lived through one of the most brutal episodes of this war, the Russian siege of Mariupol.
Це місто, півмільйона міста, яке руйнували обстрілами з землі, артилерія, аероудари з повітря. Це купа цивільних, які гинули кожну хвилину. Це діти, які вмирали прямо на вулицях. Це вагітні жінки, яким неможливо було надати допомогу. Це зруйновані будинки. Тих. Давай, клади. Да.
For months, Tyra tended to the wounded and dying. But one little boy haunts her. Nikita, who was caught with his sister and parents in the crossfire of a battle. Her body-worn camera captured the profound heartbreak of war and its indiscriminate impact on civilians. And it is distressing.
Малой, останься со мной. Сука, ненавижу москалей.
Nikita's wounds are catastrophic. Tyra's colleague reports there is no heartbeat. Tyra moves round to administer CPR.
Ну, Никитка, давай.
Давай, солнце, вернись. Вернись ко мне.
There is nothing they can do. Nikita succumbs to his wounds.
Це був, напевно, найважчий день в Маріуполі для мене. Хоча, насправді, багато дітей загинуло, і в мене на руках також. Але чомусь саме цей хлопчик був для мене і найбільш такий чутливий. Але його сестра лишилась жити, незважаючи на те, що в неї були страшні травми. Це кульові поранення. Вона вижила. І для мене це символ, що Україна продовжує жити і боротися.
2 недели війни.
For Tyra, the days would become even harder when she was captured by the Russians while trying to escape the siege.
Ну як? Вони не розуміють prisoner of war. Вони розуміють, що вони вважають, що ми просто якісь злочинці. Вони називають нас нацистами. І вони катують нас. Мене катували в російському полоні. І це не просто побиття. Це спеціальні камери, обладнані для катувань. Перекладай.
How would you describe what they did to you?
Для людей, тобто це не інтимні речі. А я можу сказати, що вони застосовували електрику в специфічний спосіб.
Tyra was released in a prisoner exchange after 3 months.
Сьогодні вже можу повідомити про це. Вдалося звільнити з полону Тайру. Я вдячний усім, хто працював на цей результат.
She has now returned to the military to help with the war effort. Can Ukraine win this war?
I'm sure we can. I'm absolutely sure if Western world will keep support us. You know, the situation, we have not enough weapon for this, but we have enough courage and power, spiritual power.
Ukraine isn't just desperately short of weapons, it is now struggling to refill its dwindling frontline ranks. I'm at the base of Ukraine's 3rd Assault Brigade, one of their most prestigious military units. And the scene behind me sums up the big problem Ukraine has in this war. This is their recruiting centre. And while I've been here, I've only found one recruit that's come in. The only recruit we see come in today is 20-year-old Danilo, whose hometown was under occupation early in the war. He says he understands what he's signing up for.
Ну, це війна, все ж таки, якісь страхи можуть бути. Ну, всі бояться, типу. Я не сказав би, що я не боюся, але ну, всі бояться померти і так далі.
Even Ukraine's military recruiters admit the situation is dire.
Ну, звичайно, це постійна проблема в тому, що не вистачає людей. І тут мова навіть не йде, там навіть в бойових посадах, мова йде навіть не про небойові посади, тобто водії, механіки, інженери і так далі. Тобто людей не вистачає у всіх сферах. Тому що в Росії там 140 мільйонів населення. Нас зараз, напевно, якщо мільйонів 30 буде, які от саме в Україні, це добре. Ми не можемо собі дозволити м'ясні штурми, як це роблять росіяни. Ми не можемо обнуляти батальйони, бригади і так далі. Ми собі це просто не можемо дозволити.
There's likely another blow coming for Ukraine, with Donald Trump signalling that he'll give the Russians one giant concession in any peace deal. And that's blocking any move to grant Ukraine membership and the protection of NATO.
In my opinion, we cannot stop the war right now unless we put NATO membership for Ukraine on hold for maybe 10 to 25 years. And that's not something Ukraine's going to want to hear. But the reality is Putin has an obsession with Ukraine joining NATO, and another way has to be found to defend Ukraine. So that has to be put off, and I think that the Trump administration needs to be clear with Zelensky about that.
Ukraine needs the security guarantees. It's necessary to talk. We don't know more serious and more effective security guarantee than the Article 5 of NATO.
So you still want to join NATO?
Of course.
With Moscow intensifying its push for more ground, the body count is rising again. In recent months, Ukraine says its Russian kill count peaked at 2,000 soldiers a day. But Ukraine too is suffering terrible losses. Every day, the bodies of its soldiers come back from the front. Flag-draped graves of war dead stretch on forever in this vast cemetery in Kharkiv. It also is full of freshly dug graves, testament to the ferocity of the fighting in recent months. Well, I've been in this section of the graveyard for just 10 minutes and already there's been 4 funerals. Speaking to the grave digger here, he said that's it for today, 4. There were 6 yesterday, but there's already freshly dug graves ready for tomorrow. This funeral is for Vyacheslav Korotky, killed fighting the Russians on the front line at Sumy. Farewelling him, his mother and his siblings. They are finding it hard to let him go. His mother gently stroking his face. His brother a final kiss. His sister inconsolable. Eventually, his coffin is covered, and Vyacheslav is lowered into the earth. To help comprehend the scale of killing in this war, this is just one of 6 cemeteries in Kharkiv, all filling with war's bitter harvest and the grief it brings. Here, the gravediggers can't work fast enough.
У нас теж колись були F-16. А дай трошки вліво.
In the Achilles drone bunker, just a kilometre from the Russian front, East and his team are as relentless as they are ruthless. They've been striking targets for hours. Still, the Russians come.
Блядь. Отут вони десь. Повертаюсь.
One Russian soldier tries to hide from the Achilles drone behind a tree.
Лівіше, ще лівіше.
Then, as the drone moves in to strike, he tries in vain to crawl away.
Ой, давай, давай! Да!
Ось тут, так, я розумію.
Others don't even see or hear the drone coming. After watching the Achilles team kill Russians for hours, it's time for us to leave. Our military escort emerges from the darkness as we leave the underground bunker.
How you going? Hi. Hey. Go, go, go.
Within seconds, we're off. Our escort hurtling us down icy mud tracks.
Okay. Now we're having to go like hell for leather to get out of here, to get back away from the front line, because ironically, after having watched them inflict 9 casualties with drones, we are now at risk of Russian drones on this road. We make it out. And a couple of days later, so too does Achilles squad leader, East. He has a day to see his wife Maria before it's back to the bunker at the front. Maria is proud that her husband volunteered to fight.
I will not live with a man who can't stand for his family. And the one really effective way to stand for a family in Ukraine is to fight for it, like literally fight, because you can help your family staying at home. So because of this, I'm just like, okay, this is the way we live. So I don't, I'm trying to distance from these emotions and think about this just like about job. Okay, here, like my husband and his job to kill Russians.
So his job is to kill Russians?
Yeah.
He's very good at his job.
Professional.
I would say my job is fighting for my country and killing its enemies.
After 3 years of bitter fighting, there is an understandable weariness in Ukraine. But there's also a steely determination to fight on against the Russian invaders. From drone factories to units on the front line, to the corridors of power in Kyiv, to the ever-expanding cemeteries with their freshly filled graves. This is a nation that has no other choice than to resist. Here, the enemy is embodied in one man, the person who started this brutal war, Vladimir Putin.
And this war must end by the victory of Ukraine, of United States, of President Trump, of democracy. It's important not just for us, it's important for the next generations to people to believe that international law, it's not just the phrase. It's something which really works.
With Donald Trump back in the White House, anything can happen.
We know it's a tractable and a difficult conflict. And I think what we should take from Trump is saying is that he's determined to end this conflict.
He says he'll fix the war. Do you think he'll fix the war?
He didn't fix the war when he was a president, because we have war from 2014, and I don't think that he will fix the war now, because I don't believe that man.
Do you worry that the West will allow Putin to keep what he has taken?
В такому випадку це буде означати, що інтернаціональні закони, всі закони сучасного світу, в якому ми живемо, зламані. Виходить, що перемагає той, в кого є достатньо сили, а не той, хто дотримується законів. Як на мене, те, що відрізняє нас від дикунів, це саме закони сучасного світу.
We're watching the biggest names in Spanish female football.
State of world champions!
It's supposed to be our moment as a team.
Then came this.
Es difícil de describir.
It unleashed outrage. Some have been claiming foul play for years.
It was a culture fear. Everyone was a little afraid.
For Spain, it's their Me Too moment.
It was the moment to change history.
Foreign Correspondent, the new time next Tuesday at 8 on ABC and ABC iView. The queer party of the year is here.
Happy Mardi Gras! Let's go!
Let your true colors shine as Mardi Gras magic lights up the screen.
Woohoo! How exciting!
From spectacular floats to unforgettable costumes, it's a celebration like no other.
Wow, wow, wow!
Celebrate love, celebrate pride, celebrate with the ABC.
Bring it on, let's hit it!
The Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras, Saturday, March 1 on ABC TV and ABC iView.
Tonight,